Hey everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom. So I have been doing some contemplating about some couple of videos that I made regarding a situation that I was moving through. And I say was because, you know, very much in the beginning it was really a struggle. I've pulled kind of back to balance, if you will, and I've spoken on it. But one of the videos that I do want to release um, is titled Just When I Needed You Most. And I guess what I wanted to do is mention that I was very much in the earlier process of what I was experiencing, moving through. I'm still moving through it. However, I'm in a bit of a better place than I was. And so the reason I made a video at that time, which I wasn't even sure I wanted to share it, and I haven't yet. If you happen to see it come up and you are listening to it, I just want to explain why, there's a little, there is heaviness in the beginning of it. And so if you just you decide to tap into that video, but just hold steady, because there is a greater message in, what's been going on and why I stepped away for a bit. But being someone who enjoys bringing messages forth for the collective, it is healing for me to do that, to speak, right? Because if we are not expressing ourselves, then we can have things that are building up, if you will. And so this is just, like I said, I've made a few videos. I've touched a little bit on, what was going on or is going on, and I just wanted to mention it. So, and you're going to see a couple of videos jump around. This is going to kind of get back on track, but I thought that I would just mention it because, my channel is not a channel of deep sorrow and pain. It is a channel to uplift, heal, and encourage and inspire others on their journey. And yet, at the same time, being authentic with what's going on. So what I'd like to do right now, in fact, one of the things that I will mention is I started to make a video. I received a call. Started to make it again. I received another call. So this is a couple of things will happen as interruptions will come in, people or spirit working to distract you so that you are not putting out the messages or doing the work that you are meant to be doing, which is lifting up and inspiring the collective, right? But moments before that, as I was contemplating releasing this other video, I asked for guidance, and I had a white butterfly go by, and I'm like, okay, I see that. I didn't ask for a sign of a butterfly, but that's what I saw. And I just kind of said, if you mean yes, will you please show me that again. And as I was looking out the window, there was this light, like an orb, that was just, if I was out there, it would be really bright, right? But as I was looking at it, going, okay, I see this, right? And now, then another butterfly went by. So it was just that added confirmation, yes, to move forward, to share the message. So that will probably follow this one. So maybe in the next day or two, you will see it, but you will know why I am as I am. Anyhow, so I was somewhere today having a conversation with someone about the idea of a very like someone who has a very busy schedule. Okay. And, you know, they were speaking to me about how many days they had um, things going on in a row, right? And it's like looking at that bigger picture was kind of overwhelming, right, to them. And we were speaking about, setting up boundaries, reclaiming space for the self, blocking out time to say no to everything else and yes to the self and what the self um, is calling for, whether that is rest, creative expression, um, organizing, so that a person's mind is more at ease, right? And when your mind is at ease, right, your spirit is at ease. And so this is how, when we step into managing our thoughts and choosing to let things go. So it was a great conversation, and it was interesting because I used to have my life used to be very much like that, like very, very busy, and we just keep going, right? But then I started tapping into the spiritual side of things, my spiritual journey, and then as time in the human experience progressed, I found myself more and more and more spending time in my spiritual experiences, if you will. And so it took a lot more work for me to be grounded in my human experience, right? Which means, I said, there's nothing that'll ground you, like things that will ground you is the to-do list, the calendar, the clock, the appointment book, right? Because those things bring you back here to your earthly or human responsibilities. Um, but when you start letting go of so many of those things, then you can be spending and tapping more time into spirit. And as time moves on, you can actually manage both. You can be grounded in your human experience, doing all that you do, and still be very tapped in. But one of the things I wanted to read is, I've had this book open for I don't know, a couple weeks maybe, but it's called Embraced by the Light. It's by Betty J. Eady. And this is really a beautiful message about this. So if you are struggling with one or the other, meaning you're very rooted in your human experience, but you're not, say, tapping into your spiritual experience, or if you are very much in your spiritual element and you're having a hard time finding balance or finding your footing in the human experience, this is a great way to look at this. So it says, finding balance is a fundamental law. She writes, I believed that I could not live in the world in which I currently lived. Now I saw that I was so involved in what I had once experienced that not only was I out of balance, I was breaking a fundamental law of health. She says, I was trapped in spiritual gluttony. And that comes from the book, The Awakening Heart. It says, be content with such things as ye have, for he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. That's Hebrews 13:5. She goes on to read, Father, keep me balanced in both the physical and the spiritual energies of my heart. Bless me to not swing too far towards one or the other, but to live in the law of balance that governs my mortality and come to understand it. When I become trapped either way, encourage me in breaking habits that hold power over me. Bless me to discover new goals and strengths within, to decrease the strong desires pulling me in both directions. Thank you for this opportunity to strengthen my spirit. The affirmation is, I have power and knowledge to overcome my appetites. I know that what I do not feed cannot grow. Again, so this idea of what you think about, where your mind goes, energy flows. So if there is something that you have been, say, out of balance in, if you had scales here, right, and you know that you have been giving something very heavy to one thing and the other one is not, you can clearly see something is out of balance. When you start to take away from the one that's weighing heavy, right, and you start putting more energy and thought and focus on this one, things will begin to come into a balance or alignment. Okay. So I wanted to share that because I sensed that this person was very hard on themselves. And I know that many of us can go through that thing, and this hanging on for what can feel like you're hanging on for dear life in our human experience. um, I always I have the vision of like a cartoon where somebody's hanging on to something and they're spinning, and eventually what normally happens, they get thrown, right? And so this calls us, before we get thrown for a loop, to say, I'm ready to slow this spinning down and choose something different, right? So we had a great conversation about that today. So I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, I use these cards in a chart just recently, but I'm going to go ahead and use them again. They're called the Divine Doors deck. Let's see what comes up that would be helpful just to kind of open this up with. What would you like to bring forth for a message for the collective? Okay, here is the door. And what it says is Anthony's call. In thanks of my spirit, safe and sound, all things that are lost can be found. Isn't that beautiful? So something you can kind of read out if there is something that you have lost. Anthony's call. All things that are lost, so can be found. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so here we have, looking out of a door, we have the statue here. It says offerings. Abundance lies in the heart that allows. Share more than expected and see love come around. And it says pass this card on. So a lovely message maybe to write down and share, right? Even to write that down and share with some type of blessing, right? Okay, what else do we have? Oh, this came up in the short, so the message is it's still in the energy, right? It speaks of birth. Another gateway appears in view. New life is unfolding with blessings to you. I'm going to pause this for a minute. Hi, thanks. I just had to stop that for a minute. So, okay, say a minute. It was a little longer than a minute. But anyway, I wanted to get back to the reading and jump into a deck called the Time Traveler's Oracle. I want to see what messages come through to help you on your journey. So what would you like to bring forth for the collective? Okay, stillness. Yeah, very interesting. And part of the conversation I was just having with someone is about that, pulling into sanctuary. And stillness can feel sometimes lonely, but that loneliness can change to aloneness. And it is in that aloneness, right, where we are connecting, right? A Zen monastery in Japan. I'm going to bring the cards forward and then we'll tap into the book. So being called to step into stillness, to stop the spinning, if you will, which is exactly what I was speaking on, kind of that idea of the hamster wheel, or like the cartoon. Okay, the next one that we have is power. Dinosaurs in the Jurassic period, right? So You are strong. You know, you have more power than you realize. That number is 32. Life force energy, the Messiah in Africa. So we have a lion in the background. I think I'm just going to pull these 3 cards and see what comes up. Being in stillness, stepping into your power, and embodying that life force energy. Okay, stillness, messages from a Zen monastery in Japan. We arrive at a 1,000-year-old Zen monastery in the mountainous region of the southeastern Japan and are ushered into a large wooden hall by a shaven monk. It's so quiet in this hall that we can hear the sound of our hearts beating. Even our soft inhalation and exhalation sounds loud. Sitting cross-legged on small pillows, zabutons, the Zen monks sit in supreme stillness. A monk ushers us to a pillow and tells us to cross our legs and have our eyes half opened, like the Buddha. He says, "Be present in this moment and let everything else drop away. Enter into the silence." After several hours, we stretch out and stand, feeling refreshed and renewed. Colors seem brighter, sounds are more nuanced. When we step through a thin rice paper covered sliding door into the garden, monks are carefully taking the gravel and tending the plants. It's so serene here. It feels like time is standing still. The time traveler's message. When you pull this card, the universe is telling you that it is time to be still and to step into the serene place within yourself. Be mindful of this moment. Move past the chatter and the bustle of everyday life and surrender to silence. Let go of replaying the past and thinking about the future. Be here now. If you are facing challenges, you are being called to simplify your life and to take time to center yourself. Be mindful in the moment. Your wisdom and power are born in the quietude. One of the most powerful ways to connect with the Creator is in sweet solitude and simplicity. There is a sacred place within you that knows the truth. In stillness, allow this place to emerge. Do not give in to the temptation of allowing feelings of overwhelm, urgency, or emergency. Listen to the voice of your inner guidance. Be still, and all will be well. I just find it really interesting because the conversation I was just having with someone, that last phone call, was really speaking about this. So it's interesting to just come and pull that card right away. Okay, so the next one is power. Messages from the dinosaurs of the Jurassic period. Wow. And we mean wow. We travel back over 150 million years to the age of the dinosaurs of the Jurassic period, specifically in what will be called Wyoming in the United States. The ground vibrates below our feet from the heavy thuds of a Tyrannosaurus and a Triceratops walking in the distance. Oops, duck. I'm not sure what the name of this one is. It just flew low over us. I'm not sure that they're supposed to be in this part of the world. An 80-ton Bronchosaurus gazes our way. We crane our necks, up and up and up to see her head 50 feet in the air. Intimidated by the casual power embodied by all these animals, we decide to take cover behind a huge boulder and to peer out at the lush green land. Huge conifers, fig trees, and large ferns dominate the landscape. The land is alive with the vibrancy of these magnificent creatures and surrounding plant life. Although we know that we are fairly safe as time travelers, we still find ourselves holding our breath when one of these huge creations comes close. The time traveler's message is true power doesn't need to shout itself from the mountaintops. It is steady and serene, as sure as as sure of its own might as a dinosaur. Know that who you are is enough. You are being called upon to claim authority in your life. If you have been giving your power away to someone or something, pulling this card indicates that it is time to take a stand. Step beyond fear and hesitation and find the place within you that is divine and powerful beyond measure. It is safe to claim it now. Bring light to the darkness. Bring support and love to those who are unfortunate. If there is a situation in your life of which you are unsure, know that by standing in your power, you will succeed. This card can also indicate that it is time to increase your physical power through exercise, yoga, walking, and working out. Beautiful message. And that's so interesting because it leads right into life force energy in the Messiah in Africa. So let's see what this one says. Okay. We are on the plains of Kenya, having time traveled a few hundred years into the past. In the distance, we see Messiah warriors gathering in a line. Suddenly, their shouts puncture the still air. Forceful exhalations follow their plaintive chants, and the rhythm of their pounding feet reverberates in our bones. They move forward, not as separate men, but as one. There is one rhythm, one movement, one breath. As they get closer to us, the intensity of their chants increases and merges into the steady rhythm of their feet. They form a circle with a couple of men entering the center. They begin jumping straight up and down, each time higher than before. The height they reach seems unbelievable. For the Maasai, this is a celebration to mark a rite of passage. As they jump higher and higher, this movement welcomes them into the next step of their lives. The chanting grows in volume and pitch into the universal rhythm. Seeing this jumping dance is a stunning experience. We feel the life force energy in the air, the ground, and through our bodies. The time traveler's message is that vibrant life force energy, healing, unifying rhythm, and passion, all of these qualities are waiting to expand even more in your life. This card is telling you that this is not the time to hold back, nor is it the time to suppress what you are feeling or experiencing. When you do this, or when you try to please everyone, your energy will wane. If you are striving to meet the expectations of others, but forgetting your own needs, your energy field becomes lackluster. Allow yourself free reign of your emotions. Be willing to be spontaneous and change course. It's okay to change your mind. The vitality of the Creator is waiting to flow through you. Stop waiting on the sidelines of your life. Don't hold back. Embrace every aspect of your life. Be who you are without reserve. If you have been ill, this card indicates that healing energy is on its way. I have goosebumps. It's such a beautiful message. All three of these together. Wow, very, very powerful. Okay, and so with that, we're going to wind up this message with some cards from the Fortune Cookies deck. Let's see what wants to come through here. And that will be it. Okay. Oh. Okay, so one is wanting to jump out here. 1 second here. It says opportunities. Interesting. An important offer will be made. Be prepared and dress to impress. An important offer will be made. Okay, what else do we have here? Assert yourself. Interesting, that falls under power, right? Falls under power. Go for what you want. The time is right for soulmate connections. Birth of a child is also likely. So that's interesting because the last card that I pulled in that Divine Door deck was birth, right? Okay. So what else do we have here under life force energy? We have challenges. Take time out from problems and or conflicts, or approach softly to avoid making matters worse. Interesting. Approach softly. Very powerful words, right? Um, Even though it falls under this life force energy and like, uh, where they were speaking about jumping high. So there are challenges. Think about that, how high each of these warriors jump, if you will, right? So they challenge themselves to jump higher. Um, Take time out from problems or conflict. Approach softly to avoid making matters worse. You know what's really interesting is because there is a lion in the background, right? This could be somebody with Leo energy, or it could also be someone who's standing in the background watching. August is coming up. We are in June right now as I record this, right? So there could be something that is coming up in August, but a situation to be approached gently so that matters are not made worse. Okay. All right, so I'm being called to split this deck. Let's see what else we have. Manifestations. A bountiful time awaits you. Your wishes could manifest right before your eyes. Okay, so lovely messages. So that's it for today. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for being patient with my other videos that will be coming out. They will not all be in order, but probably the next 7 to 10 videos approximately. Anyway, take care. Bye.